They destroyed Vanguard Dawn to silence us. Instead, they awakened us. This isn't just war. Its memory sharpened into fire. We are the light they tried to erase, and now it burns across the stars. The gleaming hull of the Vanguard Dawn reflected the light of an alien sun as it approached Kepler 442b, a testament to humanity's unwavering spirit of exploration. This wasn't just another colony ship. It was the embodiment of humanity's dreams, carrying 50,000 souls, ready to plant roots in a new world. Families, scientists, and dreamers alike had left everything behind, driven by the promise of a fresh start beyond Origin Prime's solar system. As the ship entered orbit, billions of viewers back on Origin Prime held their breath. The live feed from the Vanguard Dawn's external cameras showed a verdant world below its atmosphere shimmering with the possibility of a new home. Commander Elira Vorn's voice crackled over the intercom, steady, despite the weight of history on her shoulders. Vanguard Dawn to Origin. Prime Control. We've entered stable orbit around Kepler 442b. All systems nominal. We're ready to begin landing procedures. The response from Origin Prime was immediate. A chorus of cheers erupting from control rooms and living rooms alike. This was it. Humanity's first step into the wider galaxy, a hard one, right after years of negotiations with the Galactic Concord. But the elation was short-lived. Without warning, a massive ship materialized beside the Vanguard Dawn, its sleek design unmistakably of Galactic Council origin. The comms crackled to life and a cold alien voice filled the airwaves. Attention, human vessel. This is Inspector Zixalath of the Celestial Concord. Prepare for immediate boarding and inspection. Captain Keldor's face, broadcast live to Origin Prime, showed a flicker of concern before her training took over. Understood, Inspector. We were not expecting an inspection at this stage, but will comply fully. As the boarding party approached, tension mounted both on the ship and back on Origin Prime. The Galactic Concord's xenophobic faction had been vocal about their distrust of humanity's expansion. But surely, they wouldn't interfere with a sanctioned colonization mission. The airlock hissed open, and Inspector Zixalath entered, flanked by armed guards. Their insectoid features were impassive as they began their sweep of the ship. Captain Keldor accompanied them, explaining each area they passed through. And this, she said, gesturing to a large sealed chamber, is our seed bank. It contains samples of Origin Prime's flora essential for establishing agriculture on Kepler 442b. Inspector Zixalath's compound eyes narrowed. Open it, he demanded. As the chamber's seal broke, a faint earthy scent filled the air. To human noses, it was the promise of new life. But Zixalath recoiled as if struck. By a weapon, he screeched, mandibles clicking furiously. You dare bring a planet killer into our space? Captain Keldor's eyes widened in shock. No, you don't understand. These are just seeds, plants. But Zixalath was already backing away, speaking rapidly into a communicator. Alarms blared throughout the ship, and the live feed to Origin Prime showed chaos erupting on the bridge. Celestial Concord vessels decloaking on all sides. The tactical officer shouted, her voice edged with panic. On Origin Prime, billions watched in horror as a fleet of sleek, deadly ships surrounded the Vanguard Dawn. The colony ship, designed for peace, had no weapons to defend itself. Captain Keldor's voice, still broadcasting, was filled with desperate urgency. Galactic Concord, please. We're a civilian vessel. There are children on board. Whatever you think we've done, we can explain. Her words were cut short as the first energy beam lanced out, slicing through the Vanguard Dawn's hull like paper. The ship's superstructure groaned, a terrible sound of twisting metal that echoed through space and across the live stream. What followed was a massacre that would be seared into humanity's collective memory for generations to come. The Galactic Concorde ships unleashed a barrage of weapons fire, each blast tearing away chunks of the colony ship. Emergency pods jettisoned from the dying vessel, but they were picked off one by one, snuffed out like candles in a storm. On Origin, Prime News anchors struggled to maintain composure as they narrated the unfolding tragedy. Families of the colonists collapsed in grief, their anguished cries echoing the silent screams of those aboard the doomed ship. The final moments of the New Eden were broadcast in horrific detail. Fires raged through corridors as desperate colonists sought escape. Parents clutched children close, trying to shield young eyes from the approaching doom. In the ship's nursery, a group of teachers huddled with infants, singing lullabies to drown out the sound of tearing metal. Hey there. Hope you're enjoying the video so far. If you do, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps the channel to grow and reach more people. Now let's find out what comes next. Captain Keldor's last transmission came through her voice, steady, even as chaos reigned around her. Origin Prime, remember us. Don't let this be the end. We were meant to be a beginning. With a final cataclysmic explosion, the Vanguard Dawn disintegrated. The live stream cut to static, leaving billions on Origin Prime in stunned, horrified silence. In the aftermath, humanity's shock quickly turned to rage. Emergency sessions were called in every government, the United Nations convened in crisis, and the streets filled with protesters demanding justice. The tragedy of the Vanguard Dawn had struck at the very heart of human aspiration, turning a moment of triumph into one of unspeakable loss. Diplomatic channels so recently used to negotiate humanity's expansion into the stars now crackled with furious accusations. Origin Prime's ambassador to the Celestial Concorde, Eleanor Volkov, stood before the assembled alien representatives, her voice shaking with barely contained fury. What we witnessed today was not an act of law enforcement or galactic security. It was genocide, plain and simple. 50,000 innocent lives, including children, were snuffed out, based on a fabricated accusation. The Celestial Concorde has revealed itself not as a body of justice and peace, but as a cabal of xenophobic murderers. The council chamber erupted into chaos with various factions shouting denials, justifications, and counter-accusations. But humanity's representatives stood firm, presenting evidence of the Vanguard Dawn's legitimate mission and the absurdity of the bioweapon claim. As the diplomatic storm raged, Origin Prime's military leaders convened in secret. The brutal destruction of the Vanguard Dawn had exposed humanity's vulnerability in the face of advanced alien technology. But it had also ignited a fierce determination to never again be caught defenseless. In underground facilities and hidden orbital stations, projects long held in reserve were now given the green light. Operation Gaia's Ark. A contingency plan developed in secret since humanity's first contact with alien life was activated. Meanwhile, the human media machine sprang into action, broadcasting the stories of those lost on the Vanguard Dawn. Faces of smiling families, brilliant scientists, and wide-eyed children filled screens across the planet. Their dreams, now forever unfulfilled, became a rallying cry for a species pushed to the brink. Arya Keldor, a 10-year-old girl from Singapore, had dreamed of being the first human to set foot on Kepler 4442b. Her video diary, recovered from her family's last transmission, went viral. "I can't wait to see what color the sky is," she had said, her eyes shining with excitement. "Maybe we'll make friends with alien plants." Dr. Alejandro Reyes, The mission's lead botanist had spent his career developing crops that could thrive in alien soil. His last message to his husband on Origin Prime took on a painful irony. "The seeds we're bringing, they're going to change everything, my love. This is how we'll make the galaxy bloom." These stories and thousands like them fanned the flames of humanity's resolve. The loss of the Vanguard Dawn wasn't just a tragedy. It was an affront to the very essence of human spirit, the drive to explore, to grow, to reach beyond perceived limitations. As the celestial concord descended into internal strife with more moderate factions calling for an investigation into the incident, humanity began to move with singular purpose. In factories and laboratories across the globe, production ramped up on technologies that had been deemed too provocative to reveal to the galactic community. The seeds of resistance were being sown, nurtured by grief and watered with righteous anger. Humanity, long considered a minor player in galactic affairs, was about to show the cosmos what happened when the indomitable human spirit was pushed too far. In orbit around Origin Prime, hidden by advanced cloaking technology, the first ships of humanity's secret fleet began to power up. They were unlike anything the Celestial Concord had seen, a fusion of reverse-engineered alien tech and human ingenuity. These vessels were built not just for exploration, but for survival in a universe that had suddenly become much more hostile. As the engines of these ghost ships hummed to life, a message was broadcast across every channel on Origin Prime. It came not from any government or military leader, but from Ryan Vorn, Commander, Elira Vorn's younger sister. Her eyes, red from tears but burning with determination, looked directly into the camera. "They thought they could extinguish our light," she said, her voice steady and clear. "But they forgot from Origin Prime. We've always looked to the stars, and now the stars will remember us." As Ryan Vorn's message echoed across the planet, the gears of humanity's response began to turn with unprecedented speed and precision. In a fortified bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains world, leaders converged for an emergency summit that would shape the course of human history. The atmosphere was electric, a palpable mix of grief, rage, and steely determination. As the last of the dignitaries took their seats, a figure stepped forward, her presence commanding instant attention. This was Admiral Kalen Trask, a name known to few, but respected by all who did. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice cutting through the tension like a plasma torch through hull plating. "What I'm about to share with you has been in development since we first made contact with extraterrestrial life. Welcome to Project Gaia's Ark." The lights dimmed and a holographic display flickered to life in the center of the room. It showed Origin Prime, but not as they knew it. Surrounding the planet was a web of satellites, hidden stations, and shipyards, all previously invisible to both civilian and military eyes. For decades, we've been preparing for this day. Admiral Kalen Trask continued, her eyes reflecting the blue glow of the hologram. "While we hoped for peace, we planned for war. The Gaia's Ark is humanity's insurance policy against extinction." The display zoomed in, revealing sleek vessels unlike anything in Origin Prime's known fleet. They were predatory in design, a perfect blend of human ingenuity and reverse-engineered alien technology. "These are the Phantom-class destroyers," Vega explained, a hint of pride in her voice. "Equipped with advanced stealth systems that bend light and sensor readings around them, they're invisible not just to the naked eye, but to any known detection system in the galaxy." Murmurs of awe rippled through the assembled leaders. The Chinese president leaned forward, his eyes narrowing, and Weapons Admiral Kalin Trask's lips curved into a grim smile. "Oh, we have teeth." With a gesture, the hologram shifted to display an array of weaponry that seemed to defy conventional physics. Quantum-entangled missiles that bypass traditional shields, gravity lances that can tear a capital ship in half. And this, she paused for effect, is the Lazarus Protocol. It's a nanotech swarm that can disassemble enemy ships at the molecular level and repurpose the material to repair our own vessels mid-battle. The room erupted in a mixture of shocked gasps and excited whispers. The U.S. president stood his face a mask of controlled fury. "Why weren't we informed of this project earlier?" "Plausible deniability," Vega replied without missing a beat. "The fewer who knew, the less chance of the Celestial Concord discovering our true capabilities. But now, the gloves come off." As the implications sank in, the UN Secretary General spoke up, her voice trembling slightly. "This is incredible. But are we truly ready to go to war with the entire Celestial Concord?" Admiral Kalin Trask's expression hardened. "With all due respect, Madam Secretary, they brought this war to us. The real question is, are they ready for what humanity can do when pushed too far?" The hologram shifted again this time, showing a tactical display of known Celestial Concord territories and fleet positions. "Our intelligence suggests that the Concord is divided on the New Eden incident. Many species are horrified by what they see as an unjustified massacre. We can use this." She gestured, and a new figure appeared beside her, a tall, lanky man with a shock of white hair and piercing green eyes. "This is Dr. Calvin Rahl, our chief xenopsychologist. He'll explain our initial strategy." Dr. Reeves stepped forward, his movements precise and calculated. "Thank you, Admiral. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not just fighting a war of ships and weapons, we're fighting a war of perception." He tapped a control, and the display showed a montage of alien news broadcasts, all discussing the New Eden incident. Right now, we're the victims, the underdogs, and believe it or not, that's our greatest weapon. Many species in the Concord have their own histories of oppression. We can appeal to that. Our first move, he continued, his eyes gleaming with intensity, will be a series of precision strikes, not to inflict maximum damage, but maximum visibility. We'll hit symbolic targets, expose corruption within the Concord, and make it clear that humanity is not to be trifled with, all while broadcasting a message of justice, not vengeance. The Russian president leaned back, a thoughtful expression on her face. "Psychological warfare on a galactic scale, ambitious. Necessary," Dr. Reeves corrected. "If we go in guns blazing, we'll unite the Concord against us. But if we play this right, we can fracture their alliance and gain powerful allies." Admiral Kalin Trask nodded in agreement, which brings us to the next phase of our plan. While our Spectre Armada makes its presence known, we'll be deploying special operations teams across Concord space. The hologram shifted once more, displaying a group of individuals, each more formidable-looking than the last. "This is Shadowborn Unit, the best of the best from every nation on Origin Prime, enhanced with cutting-edge biotech and neural interfaces." She pointed to a woman with silver, cybernetic eyes and a series of intricate tattoos running down her arms. "Major Vale Halden, our infiltration specialist. Those tattoos, programmable camouflage that can mimic any known sentient species." Next, she indicated a burly man with what appeared to be metallic scales rippling beneath his skin. "Sergeant Cor Vance. His dermal plating can withstand vacuum and temperatures that would vaporize a normal human." The list went on. Each member of Shadowborn Unit a testament to how far humanity had pushed the boundaries of their own biology in preparation for this moment. Their mission, Admiral Kalen Trask explained, will be to gather intelligence, sabotage key Concord facilities, and when necessary, eliminate high-value targets. They'll be our ghosts, striking from the shadows while our fleet draws the Concord's attention. The Japanese Prime Minister raised a hand, her face etched with concern. This is all very impressive, Admiral. But what of our civilians, our colonies? Surely the Concorde will retaliate. Vega's expression softened slightly. We've thought of that too. With a wave, the hologram displayed a series of massive ships, easily dwarfing anything in Origin Prime's civilian fleet. The Sanctuary-class evacuation vessels, each one capable of housing and sustaining up to 1 million people indefinitely. They're already being loaded as we speak. She took a deep breath, her gaze sweeping across the room. Make no mistake, the path ahead will be difficult. We will suffer losses. But for the first time in our history, humanity fights not just for survival, but for our place among the stars. The room fell silent as the weight of the moment settled upon them. It was the British Prime Minister who finally broke the silence, rising to his feet with determination etched on his face. I believe I speak for all of us when I say, Admiral Kalen Trask, you have our full support. What do you need from us? Vega's lips curved into a fierce smile. Unity. From this moment on, we are no longer nations divided by borders. We are Origin Prime, united against a common threat. Every resource, every mind, every hand, all working towards our survival and victory. As murmurs of agreement filled the room, Vega turned back to the holographic display. Now let's discuss our first targets. The Celestial Concorde thought they could extinguish humanity's light. Instead, they've ignited a fire that will burn across the cosmos. Outside the bunker, unbeknownst to the civilians going about their daily lives, humanity's secret fleet was already on the move. Wraith-class destroyers slipped out of hidden docks, their advanced drives leaving no trace as they accelerated towards the edges of the solar system. In orbital shipyards, crews worked round the clock, retrofitting civilian vessels with military-grade shields and weapons. Every scientist, engineer, and tactician on the planet had been mobilized. Their collective genius focused on refining and improving the technologies that would give humanity its fighting chance. As the summit continued deep into the night, plans were made, strategies honed, and a new chapter in human history began to unfold. The galaxy had underestimated humanity's resolve, their capacity for innovation, and their fierce determination to survive against all odds. The Celestial Concorde had intended the destruction of the Vanguard Dawn to be a message, a demonstration of their power and humanity's insignificance. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant, one armed with technologies beyond their wildest nightmares and a burning desire for justice. As dawn broke over a planet united in purpose, the Admiral stood at the command center of the TSV, Ruinborn, the flagship of humanity's phantom fleet. Her eyes reflecting the star field on the main viewer narrowed with determination. Helm, she ordered, her voice steady and sure-set course for the Arcturus Gate. It's time to remind the galaxy why you should never corner a species that clawed its way to the stars. The Reckoning's engines flared to life, invisible to all but the most advanced sensors. As it accelerated out of the solar system, it carried with it the hopes and fury of an entire species. Humanity was going to war, and the Celestial Concorde was about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating the tenacity of Origin Prime's children. The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath, waiting to see how the galaxy would change in the wake of humanity's wrath. The TSV Ruinborn sliced through the void of space, its advanced stealth systems, rendering it invisible to even the most sophisticated Concorde sensors. On the bridge, the Admiral stood like a statue, her eyes fixed on the tactical display showing their approach to the Arcturus Gate, the massive hyperspace conduit that would propel them deep into Concorde space. "Status report," she commanded, her voice steady, despite the tension thrumming through the ship. Her XO commander, Thalos Dren, responded crisply. "All systems nominal. Admiral. Phantom drive operating at peak efficiency will reach the gate in T-4 transit ticks." Vega nodded, allowing herself a grim smile. "Excellent. It's time to brief the team." Deep within the bowels of the Reckoning, in a chamber shielded by layers of quantum-encrypted barriers, Shadowborn unit assembled. These weren't just Origin Prime's finest soldiers, they were the pinnacle of human evolution and technological enhancement. Major Vale Halden's cybernetic eyes whirred as she scanned her teammates, their biosignatures appearing as ghostly overlays in her vision. Beside her, Sergeant Cor Vance's metallic scales rippled beneath his skin, adjusting to the room's temperature. The rest of the team was equally impressive. Lieutenant Nira Sael, whose neural implants allowed her to process information at superhuman speeds. Corporal Diego Reyes, whose nanotech-infused bloodstream could adapt to any environment. And Dr. Seren Vorn, sister of the late Commander Elira Vorn, whose genius in xenobiology was matched only by her thirst for justice. Admiral Kalen Trask's hologram flickered to life in the center of the room. "Shadowborn unit," she began, her voice filled with steel. "You represent humanity's best hope for survival and retribution. Your mission is as dangerous as it is crucial." The holographic display shifted, showing a massive space station orbiting a gas giant. "This is Apex Spire, the central command hub of the Celestial Concord. Your objective is to infiltrate, gather intelligence on the conspiracy behind the New Eden massacre, and if possible, sabotage their defenses for our upcoming assault." Major Kuri stepped forward, her cybernetic eyes gleaming. "How do we get in, Admiral? That station will have security tighter than a black hole's event horizon." Vega's hologram smiled a predatory expression that sent shivers down the spines of even these hardened operatives. "That's where our ace in the hole comes in." She gestured, and a new figure appeared in the hologram, a tall, willowy alien with iridescent skin and 4 arms. "Meet Valis, our inside agent. She's a member of the Sakari species, long oppressed by the Concord's xenophobic factions. She'll be your guide and your key to accessing restricted areas." Zelith bowed her head, her voice a melodious whisper. "It is an honor to aid Origin Prime in its quest for justice. My people have suffered much under the Concord's tyranny. Perhaps together we can forge a new path for all species who value freedom." The team exchanged glances, a mix of surprise and determination on their faces. It was one thing to fight for Origin Prime, but the realization that they might be sparking a galactic revolution added a new weight to their mission. Admiral Kalen Trask continued, her voice grave. "You'll be inserted via a modified escape pod, masked as debris from a recent meteor shower. Zelith will meet you at these coordinates." A series of numbers flashed across the display. "From there you'll have 2 lunar spans to complete your mission before we launch our main assault." Keldor spoke up, her voice tight, with controlled emotion. "And if we find those responsible for my sister's death," Vega's hologram fixed her with a steely gaze, "you have full autonomy to act as you see fit, Doctor. Just remember, the mission comes first. We need that intel and those sabotage points more than we need vengeance. For now." The next few hours were a blur of final preparations. Each member of Shadowborn unit underwent last-minute enhancements and equipment checks. Major Kuri's chameleon-like skin was calibrated to mimic various alien species. Sergeant Volkov's dermal plating was charged to withstand extreme conditions. Lieutenant Hayashi's neural implants were updated with the latest Council security protocols. As they boarded the modified escape pod, tension hung in the air like a physical presence. This wasn't just a mission. It was the opening move in humanity's bid for survival and respect in a hostile universe. The pod launched tumbling through space in a carefully calculated trajectory. To any observers, it would appear to be just another piece of debris. Inside, the team braced themselves as they hurtled towards Apex Spire. Their entry was flawless. The pod, disguised as a chunk of space rock, slipped past the station's outer defenses without raising a single alarm. As they neared their rendezvous point, a hidden airlock cycled open, swallowing the pod whole. Zeloth was waiting for them, her iridescent skin shimmering in the dim light of the maintenance tunnel. "Welcome to Apex Spire," she whispered, her forearms gesturing them forward. "We must move quickly. The Council is in session debating the aftermath of the New Eden incident. Security is heightened but distracted." Major Kuri nodded, her cybernetic eyes already mapping out their route. "Lead the way." What followed was a masterclass in infiltration. Zeloth guided them through a labyrinth of service tunnels and restricted areas, her intimate knowledge of the station proving invaluable. When they encountered patrols, the team's advanced tech came into play. Major Kuri's skin shifted, taking on the appearance of a bulky four-armed maintenance drone. She lumbered past a group of guards, her teammates concealed within a holographic projection of a waste disposal unit. The guards never gave them a second glance. As they delved deeper into the heart of Nexus Primaris, the team began to uncover disturbing truths. Dr. Keldor, hacking into a secure terminal while Lieutenant Hayashi kept watch, gasped as she scrolled through classified documents. "My God!" She breathed, her eyes wide with horror and rage. The New Eden Massacre. It wasn't just about fear of human expansion. It was a calculated move by a faction within the Council. They called themselves the Harmonic Dominion. Sergeant Volkov growled, his scales rippling with agitation. "What's their game?" Dr. Keldor's fingers flew over the holographic interface, piecing together the conspiracy. They believed that younger species like humanity pose a threat to the established order. The New Eden wasn't destroyed because they thought we had a bioweapon. They destroyed it because they're afraid of our potential. The implications were staggering. This wasn't just about one tragic incident. It was about the future of humanity's place in the galaxy. As they pushed deeper into the station, the team faced increasingly difficult challenges. A wrong turn led them into a heavily guarded research sector. Corporal Reyes's quick thinking saved them his nanotech-infused blood, allowing him to interface directly with the security systems and create a momentary blind spot. In a secure vault, Lieutenant Hayashi made a breakthrough. Her neural implants synced with the station's quantum computers, cracked encryption that would have taken normal systems years to decipher. "I've got it," she announced. Her eyes unfocused as she processed the data streaming directly into her mind. Complete schematics of the Council's defense grid, including blind spots and weaknesses. But their greatest discovery came in the most unexpected way. As they were about to exit a high-security area, they overheard a conversation that made their blood run cold. Two Council members, their species unrecognizable to the team, were speaking in hushed tones. Thanks to their advanced translation software, the team understood every word. "The humans are more resilient than we anticipated," one said, its voice a sibilant hiss. "The destruction of their colony ship should have cowed them. Instead, it seems to have galvanized them." The other, taller and more imposing, rumbled a response. "Then we must accelerate the Genesis directive. If the humans join the galactic community on equal footing, all our careful planning will be for naught. We cannot allow another species to challenge the precursor legacy." Major Corey and Dr. Keldor exchanged alarmed glances. Ascension Protocol Precursor Legacy. The conspiracy ran deeper than they could have imagined. As they made their way back to the extraction point, the weight of their discoveries bore down on them. They had come seeking answers about one tragedy, only to uncover a plot that threatened not just humanity, but the balance of power in the entire galaxy. Delith, sensing their distress, placed a comforting hand on Dr. Keldor's shoulder. What you have uncovered may be the key to unraveling centuries of oppression, she said softly. Many species will rally to your cause if they learn the truth. Major Corey nodded grimly. Then we make sure they learn it. All of it. As they boarded their escape pod, alarms began to blare throughout Nexus Primaris. Their infiltration had finally been detected, but it was too late. The pod blasted away from the station, cloaking itself in a cloud of debris and radiation that masked their escape. Aboard the EFS Reckoning, Admiral Kalen Trask received their transmission with a mixture of triumph and grave concern. The intelligence they had gathered would change the course of the coming conflict. But the revelations about the Purity Concordant and the mysterious Genesis Directive hinted at a war that would dwarf anything humanity had prepared for. As Shadowborn Unit was debriefed, Vega turned her gaze to the stars, visible through the Reckoning's view screen. Humanity had come seeking justice for the Vanguard Dawn. Instead, they had stumbled upon a conspiracy that threatened the very fabric of galactic society. The Admiral's lips curved into a determined smile. If the Concord thought humanity would back down from this fight, they were about to learn a harsh lesson. Origin Prime's children had clawed their way to the stars, and they would be damned if they'd let anyone push them back down. The real war was just beginning, and humanity was ready to show the galaxy exactly what they were capable of. The TSV Ruinborn pulsed with activity as Admiral Kalen Trask strode through its corridors, her face a mask of grim determination. The intel gathered by Shadowborn Unit had changed everything. Humanity wasn't just fighting for justice anymore. They were fighting for their very right to exist in a galaxy that feared their potential. In the ship's primary research lab, a scene of controlled chaos unfolded. Dr. I. Elara Shen, Origin Prime's foremost expert in quantum mechanics, hunched over a device that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Holographic equations swirled around her, each one more complex than the last. "Talk to me, Doctor," Vega demanded as she entered. "Please tell me you have good news." Dr. Aylin Kaur looked up, her eyes bloodshot from sleepless nights, but burning with excitement. "Better than good, Admiral. We've cracked it." She gestured to the device, a spherical object no larger than a basketball, its surface etched with intricate patterns that seemed to shift and change as you watched. "I give you the Quantum Redirection Device, or Q-Core Drive." Vega raised an eyebrow. "And this will give us the edge we need." Dr. Aylin Kaur's grin was almost feral. "Oh, it'll do more than that. This beauty can create localized pockets of altered space-time. In layman's terms, we can redirect enemy fire back at them, create impenetrable shields, or even fold space to move our ships instantly across vast distances." The implications were staggering. With this technology, humanity could level the playing field against the vastly superior numbers and firepower of the Celestial Concord. "How soon can we deploy?" Vega asked, her mind already racing with tactical possibilities. "We've miniaturized the tech for ship-to-ship combat. Give me 2 lunar spans and I can have a dozen capital ships outfitted." Vega nodded sharply. "You have 12. The Concord won't sit idle for long once they realize what we've discovered." As if on cue, alarms blared throughout the ship. Commander Volkov's voice crackled over the intercom. "Admiral, to the bridge. We've got incoming Concorde vessels, a lot of them." Vega sprinted to the bridge, barking orders as she went. "Battle stations, all hands, prepare for combat. Doctor, get that Q-core drive operational on the Reckoning now." The bridge was a hive of controlled panic as Vega took her command chair. The tactical display showed a terrifying sight. A fleet of over 100 Concorde warships dropping out of FTL, their weapons already charging. "They're hailing us." Lieutenant Curie reported, her cybernetic eyes flashing as she processed the incoming transmission. On screen, Vega ordered straightening in her chair. The view screen flickered to life, revealing the insectoid features of Grand Admiral Zixlath, the same being responsible for the New Eden massacre. His mandibles clicked, in what might have been amusement or contempt. "Humans," he chittered. "Your pathetic attempts at espionage have not gone unnoticed. Surrender now, and perhaps we will be merciful in your extinction." Vega's eyes narrowed. "I think not, Zixlath. You murdered innocent civilians, and for what? Fear you call us the threat. But it's your purity concorded that's the real danger to this galaxy." Zixlath's compound eyes widened fractionally, the only indication that Vega's words had struck home. "You know nothing," he hissed. "The Genesis directive is beyond your primitive understanding. This is your final warning: surrender, or be obliterated." Vega's lips curved into a dangerous smile. "Here's our answer." She cut the transmission and turned to her weapons officer. "Target their flagship. Let's show them what humanity is capable of." The Reckoning's advanced weaponry came to life, a lance of concentrated energy streaking towards Zixlath's ship. But at the last moment, the Council vessel shimmered and vanished, the beam passing harmlessly through empty space. Cloaking technology. Commander Volkov growled. "Our targeting systems can't get a lock." Vega's mind raced. This was it, the moment that would decide humanity's fate. "Dr. Aylin Core," she called over the comm. "Please tell me the Q-core drive is online. Just finish the calibration." "Admiral," came the breathless reply. "It's all yours." Vega allowed herself a moment of fierce pride. This was what humanity did best, innovation in the face of impossible odds. "Activate the Q-core drive. Create a temporal bubble around our fleet." The effect was immediate and awe-inspiring. A shimmering field enveloped the human ships, distorting the very fabric of space around them. The incoming fire from the Council fleet seemed to slow to a crawl as it entered the field. Now Vega commanded, her voice ringing with authority. "Redirect their fire. Let them taste their own medicine." What followed was a display of technological prowess that would be spoken of in hushed whispers across the galaxy for centuries to come. The slowed energy weapons were caught in the Q-core drive's field, their trajectories altered with surgical precision. In a spectacular display of poetic justice, each blast was sent hurtling back towards its point of origin. Explosions blossomed across the Council fleet as their own weapons tore through their shields, ripping hulls apart and sending debris spinning into the void. Zixlath's flagship, its cloak rendered useless by the quantum distortions, took a direct hit from its own main cannon. The massive vessel split in two secondary explosions, chaining through its superstructure. But Vega wasn't done. "Prepare for quantum jump," she ordered, her voice steady, despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Let's show them nowhere in this galaxy is beyond our reach." The Q-core drive's field pulsed, and suddenly the entire human fleet vanished, reappearing instantly behind the enemy's lines. Caught completely off guard, the Council ships had no time to react, as the humans unleashed a devastating barrage into their unprotected rear. Ship after ship fell to the precision strikes of the human fleet. Those that attempted to flee found their hyperdrives mysteriously malfunctioning the Q-core drive's influence, reaching out to disrupt their escape. In the span of mere minutes, the tide of battle had turned completely. The mighty Council armada, which had arrived expecting an easy victory, was now in full retreat, leaving behind a graveyard of twisted metal and shattered dreams of human subjugation. As the last enemy ship flickered into hyperspace, a cheer went up across the human fleet. They had done it. Against overwhelming odds, humanity had not just survived, they had triumphed. But Admiral Kalen Trask knew this was just the beginning. As reports of the battle spread across subspace channels, the galaxy erupted into chaos. Long oppressed species, emboldened by humanity's victory, began to rise up against their council overlords. The Sekaris, led by Zalith, were at the forefront, broadcasting the truth about the Purity Concordant and the Ascension Protocol to anyone who would listen. On 100 worlds, revolution bloomed like wildfire. The carefully maintained order of the Celestial Concord began to crumble, their web of lies and manipulation exposed for all to see. Back on the Reckoning, Vega received transmission after transmission from alien species seeking Alliance protection or simply wanting to understand how humanity had achieved the impossible. But amidst the triumph, a sobering realization set in. The Ascension Protocol, whatever it was, remained a looming threat, and somewhere out there the true architects of the Purity Concordant were undoubtedly regrouping, planning their next move. Vega turned to her crew, her eyes blazing with determination. "This victory is sweet," she declared, "but our fight is far from over. The galaxy is watching, waiting to see what we'll do next. It's time to show them that humanity isn't just a species to be feared. We're the allies they've been waiting for, the key to breaking the chains of oppression once and for all." As the Reckoning set course for Origin Prime, carrying with it news of their incredible victory, Vega couldn't help but feel a sense of destiny. Humanity had been thrust onto the galactic stage in the worst possible way, with the destruction of the New Eden. But now, they had a chance to rewrite the narrative. They would be the spark that ignited a revolution, the shield that protected the downtrodden, and the sword that cut through millennia of lies and manipulation. The Galactic Council had sought to extinguish humanity's light. Instead, they had fanned it into a blaze that would reshape the very foundations of galactic society. As Origin Prime came into view, a blue jewel suspended in the vastness of space, Vega allowed herself a small smile. Whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever ancient secrets or cosmic horrors the Ascension Protocol might unleash, she knew one thing for certain: humanity was ready, and the galaxy would never be the same again. As the EFS Reckoning approached Origin Prime, the planet's orbital defense grid hummed to life, a testament to humanity's newfound resolve. The Admiral stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the gathered fleet, a hodgepodge of human vessels and alien ships from species who had thrown their lot in with Origin Prime. "Status report," she commanded, her voice steady, despite the weight of what was to come. Commander Volkov's response was crisp. "All ships reporting ready. Admiral, the Q-Core drive network is online and synchronized across the fleet. We've also detected multiple Council battle groups entering the system. They'll be here within the hour." Vega nodded, a grim smile playing at her lips. "Then it's time. Open a channel to the fleet." As the comm crackled to life, Vega took a deep breath. "This is Admiral Kalen Trask. To all ships, the moment we've prepared for is upon us. The Council comes not just to subjugate Origin Prime, but to enact their Ascension Protocol, a plan we now know will devastate countless worlds in their misguided quest for purity. We stand not just for humanity today, but for every species that has suffered under their tyranny. Remember Vanguard. Dawn, remember why we fight Vega out. The tension on the bridge was palpable as the minutes ticked by. Suddenly, space itself seemed to ripple as the Council fleet dropped out of FTL. It was a sight to behold, hundreds of ships, from nimble fighters to massive dreadnoughts, their hulls gleaming with an otherworldly sheen. At their center, a colossal vessel, unlike anything they'd ever seen before, slowly materialized. Its surface writhed with tendrils of dark energy, as if it was barely constrained by physical laws. By the stars, Dr. Aylin Kaur breathed her eyes wide as she analyzed the readings. That ship, it's not just a weapon, it's the key to the Ascension Protocol. If they activate it here, Vega's jaw clenched. Then we make sure they don't all ships engage, activate Q-Core drive defenses, and target that monstrosity. The battle erupted in a dazzling display of advanced weaponry. Quantum redirected energy beams lanced across space, catching Council ships off guard. Fighters danced between larger vessels, their pilots pushing the limits of what was thought possible. But the Council flagship remained untouched, protected by shields that seemed to absorb every attack thrown at it. Worse, wherever its tendrils of dark energy touched, reality itself began to warp and tear. "We need a new plan," Vega growled, watching as another allied ship succumbed to the flagship's otherworldly assault. "Dr. Aylin Kaur, talk to me. What are we dealing with?" Shen's fingers flew across her console. "It's using principles similar to our Q-Core drive, but on a scale we never imagined. It's not just redirecting energy, it's rewriting the fundamental laws of physics in localized areas. If it fully activates the Ascension Protocol, Vega finished. The forced evolution of the galaxy, regardless of the cost we need to shut it down now." As if in response to her words, a transmission cut across all frequencies. The holographic image of a being appeared, not the insectoid features of Zixlath, but something older. Its form seemed to shift and change, as if struggling to maintain coherence in normal space. "Humans," it intoned, its voice resonating on a frequency that made everyone's teeth ache. "Your resistance is admirable but futile. The ascension is inevitable. Join us, and you may yet have a place in the new order." Vega's eyes narrowed. "And who exactly are we talking to? The real power behind the Purity Concordant, I presume." The being's form rippled almost like laughter. "We are the precursors, the first to achieve sentience in this galaxy. For eons we have guided the evolution of lesser species. The Ascension is the culmination of our work, the forced evolution of all life to a higher plane. Resistance will only bring suffering." Vega's mind raced. This was bigger than they had imagined, but in that moment of realization, a plan began to form. "Dr. Aylin Kaur," she whispered, "can we use the Q-Core drive to create a feedback loop with their ship?" Shen's eyes widened as she grasped the implications. "It's risky, but yes. We'd need to get close, though. Dangerously close." Vega nodded. "Patch me through to Major Curie and her team. I have a job for them." Within minutes, a stealth shuttle detached from the Reckoning, its advanced cloaking technology, rendering it invisible even to the precursor flagship's sensors. Inside, Major Zara Curie and her team prepared for what might be a one-way mission. Remember, Curie briefed her team, her cybernetic eyes gleaming. "Our job is to plant the Q-Core drive transmitters at key points on that ship. Once they're active, Dr. Aylin Kaur can initiate the feedback loop. With any luck, we'll turn their own power against them." As the shuttle approached the massive flagship, the battle raged around them. The human-led alliance fought with everything they had, but it was clear they were outmatched. The precursor ship continued to tear reality apart, creating pockets of altered space-time that swallowed entire vessels. Curie and her team worked with precision born of countless missions. One by one, they placed the transmitters, each one linking to the others to create a web of quantum entanglement around the flagship. Final transmitter in place. Curie reported, her voice tense. Dr. Alan Core, it's all yours. Back on the reckoning. Shen's fingers danced across her console, initiating quantum feedback loop. Now for a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then with a sound that defied description, the space around the precursor flagship began to warp and twist. The dark energy tendrils writhed, turning inward as the ship's own power was redirected back upon itself. It's working, Shen exclaimed. The feedback loop is destabilizing their systems, but... Oh no. Vega whirled to face her. What is it? The energy buildup. Shen said, her face pale. When that ship goes, it's going to tear a hole in space-time. Half the solar system could be pulled in. Vega's mind raced. They were so close to victory, but at what cost? Then an idea struck her. The Q-Core drive network. Can we use it to contain the explosion? Shen's eyes lit up. Yes, if we reconfigure every Q-Core drive in the fleet to create a containment bubble, it just might work. But Admiral will lose the entire fleet. There's no way to generate a bubble that large and get our ships clear in time. Vega stood tall, her decision made in an instant. Do it, and open a channel to all ships. As Shen worked feverishly to reconfigure the Q-Core drive network, Vega addressed the fleet. This is Admiral Kalen Trask. In moments, the precursor ship will detonate. We have the means to contain the explosion, but at a cost. Our fleet will be lost, but Origin Prime and the galaxy will be saved. It has been an honor serving with each and every one of you. For Origin Prime, for freedom, Vega out. The precursor ship's death throes were a sight beyond imagination. As it imploded, reality itself seemed to scream. But true to Shen's calculations, the combined power of hundreds of Q-Core drives created a shimmering bubble of altered space-time around the detonation. From Origin Prime, it looked as if a new star had been born, and then snuffed out in the span of a heartbeat. When the light faded, there was nothing left of the once mighty fleets that had clashed in epic battle. Nothing except a single battered stealth shuttle carrying Major Quarry and her team. In the days that followed, the full scope of what had transpired became clear. With the destruction of the precursor ship and the sacrifice of the human-led fleet, the Purity Concordat's hold on the Celestial Concord crumbled. Inspired by Origin Prime's victory, oppressed species across the galaxy rose up, overthrowing their former masters. A new era of galactic cooperation dawned. The reformed Celestial Concord, with Origin Prime as a key member, set about dismantling the corrupt systems that had allowed the Purity Concordat to flourish. The Genesis Directive was revealed for what it truly was, not a path to enlightenment, but a tool of control and destruction. In honor of those lost, a new colony was established on a pristine world at the edge of Origin Prime's territory. They named it Sanctum Nova, a symbol of humanity's resilience and a beacon of hope for the future. As the remnants of Admiral Kalen Trask's fleet drifted silently through the void, the galaxy mourned the loss of its most courageous defender. The stars seemed dimmer in her absence, and across countless worlds, tales of her final stand spread like a beacon of hope in the darkness. She had given everything to protect not just humanity, but all life facing the wrath of the precursors, so that others might live. On the TSV Solaris, a newly commissioned flagship, her surviving crew gathered in solemn reflection, the weight of her sacrifice heavy in their hearts. Captain Dax Virex, who had once served under Vega, stood on the bridge, his eyes wet with unshed tears as he addressed the crew. We came to the stars under Admiral Kalen Trask's command, believing we were fighting for justice, but she showed us something greater. She taught us that our duty is to each other, to every life across the stars. Her sacrifice was not in vain. She believed in a future where cooperation, not domination, would unite us. The crew bowed their heads, honoring the memory of their lost leader. They each wore a small emblem in the shape of Vega's insignia, a tribute to the woman who had given everything for them. As the Phoenix set a course for the unknown, its engines hummed with a quiet resilience, as if carrying Lyra Vega's spirit forward. Her name would be whispered among the stars for generations, a legend of sacrifice, bravery, and unyielding hope. In the silence of space, one final message recorded by Vega herself before the last battle played across the galaxy's communication channels. Her voice was steady, calm, carrying the strength of someone who knew her place in history. Remember, we are all bound by the same stars. My journey ends here, but yours is just beginning. Stand unyielding, and let the stars carry you home. As her words faded, 1,000 ships across 1,000 worlds took to the skies in her honor, inspired to continue her legacy. Humanity, tempered by her sacrifice, was ready to rise and answer the call, to defend, to explore, and to live as she had fiercely and selflessly. And though she was gone, Admiral Kalen Trask would forever be the spark that ignited a galaxy united in peace. Hey there again. I'm glad you've come so far. Hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to hit the like button and the subscribe button. This is really important to the channel. Really important. And I have one more thing for you. I've chosen another video for you to watch. Just click the card here or here if you want the whole playlist. See you there.